Today, Mentoring Writers is pleased to welcome a group of special ladies. They are all involved in the creation of children's books, either as an author or as an illustrator. The ladies are members of a group I first met a few years ago whilst visiting my family on the Gold Coast in Australia. They are collectively known as the Ten Penners. The group began when a number of adults from the Gold Coast Writers Association were writing for a children's support group by deciding to produce an anthology. The year was 2004, and at that time the name of the group was quite appropriate since there were 10 authors contributing to that first book, which was titled Shock, Horror, Gasp. The book was a success, and over time other anthologies followed, written by new member authors. Here to talk about their books, including their latest anthology, I am so delighted to welcome the members of the Australian writers group, the Ten Pennies. Ladies, welcome. It is great to have you all here in conversation with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, as I explained, we first met, I think, through Marion being a member of Scooby, the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, where she invited me on one of my visits to Oz to join the Ten Penners at your monthly meeting. And it was great fun. So for my viewers and listeners, I'd like to, please, if you could, introduce yourselves and give us a brief background to your experience in writing outside of the Ten Penners. So seeing as how I know Marion, I'm going to let you go first.
Thank you. Well, my writing outside of the Ten Penners hasn't really kicked off very well. I'm quite jealous of Jill and Kate. They've been writing prolifically, but I have things work in progress, a lot of work in progress. But with the Ten Penners, I've enjoyed 16 years as coordinator, and I did a lot of loss for the word, encouraging all my people to do better and get onto different tasks, different quests. And actually, Jill and Kate, they've been in NaNoWriMo, which they've only just finished, and I know one of them's won for the month. That
I'm
was
still
fun,
going.
and I'm still trying to get there myself. So that's a big one.
I wrote
one of those
title in
NaNoWriMo.
No, in NaNoWriMo, I wrote a title, which is it's more than I did last year.
That's it. I think I've got up to about 8,000 words or something like that.
That's good.
Not the
8,000 words is
not
good.
the 50. Yeah, it's something.
Well, by the time I come down there in May next year, I expect to read more than 8,000 words. It's as simple as that.
There you go.
You're on notice, girl. You're on notice.
Thank you.
Go on, Jill. You let us know what you've been up to prior to outside of the Ten Penners. Sorry.
Outside of the Penners, up until joining the Ten Penners, I didn't write children's stories. I wrote science fiction. I've written 2 science fiction books, Dual Visions and Bachelor's World, as part of the Ancient Aliens series, and now I've written 2 more manuscripts which follow on, which are Travellers and Orthimus Children. So that'll be a 4-book series when I get it out there properly. But the first 2 are already self-published, but not to my satisfaction. I'd like to do a bit more, especially with the covers. I'm not happy with those, but that's just another thing I'm learning. But I've written a young adult science fiction called Microworld, and I'm really quite happy with that, and I want to get it out there. And it's more probably my genre that I feel happiest with, because there's no anything else. But I do like writing for children now that I'm in this group, and so yes, it's excellent fun to do that. And we did do the launch of Mystery Mayhem and Magic and dressed up at that one as well. And we didn't dance, but we dressed up, and it was great fun. And we have done some presentations for our latest book, and I've been pretty involved in that too. Okay.
Brilliant, brilliant. She's put Catherine here, but it's Kate. I only know you as Kate.
Yes, Catherine. Catherine is my author name, you know.
Yep.
And because there's too many Kate Russells out there, and they're all getting confused with me, and I just couldn't have that.
No.
So I'm Catherine R. Pepper now as my author name, because that's it's my real name, because Pepper was my maiden name. So yes, no longer a maiden, but been a while. Yeah. So I rebranded as Catherine R. Pepper. So I've published a couple of books for adults, both supernatural, sort of romantic suspense. One with a bit of a supernatural theme. It's got a ghost in it, bit of romance, bit of a mystery. That one's called Shadow of a Soldier, and that was written during NaNoWriMo 2012. And The Players, which is set in the silent movie era in Australia. And that's a sort of a straight sort of mystery, and a romance with the two main stars of the silver screen, Amelia and Sam, fall in love, blah, blah. Baby gets kidnapped, stuff like that. Anyway, and yeah, so they're my two adult novels that I've actually already self-published. And I have 3 young adult novels with my witch Kylie Cooper, who first appeared in Fantastical Tales in a novella type setup when she was 13. She's 17 now. And the first one, it's called Kylie Cooper and the Misplaced Bushranger, because she transports a bushranger from 1867. And it's a bit of a young romance, bit of fun. Hopefully it's funny. I don't know. I've read it so many times now. Laughing at my own jokes is a bit weird, but so she's got 2 more books following that are not nearly finished, and Misplaced Bushranger is almost ready, almost there. And then I've got a couple more adult books which are about a crime scene cleaner who's hopefully funny as well. I amuse myself, so they're funny as well. So they're like a bit of romance, bit of sort of Janet Ivanovic-y sort of style, but Australian, very Australian. I'm proud to be Australian, and everything I write is based in Australia, and go Aussies. That's pretty much it.
You're a bit like me, a bit of everything.
Yeah. I do enjoy children's books.
Carly, you're the newbie to this lovely group. So have you written anything outside of the group?
Not really fiction. My younger years was spent in bookselling. All I wanted to do when I was a kid was work in a bookshop, study books. So I went to uni, I studied literature, and people were like, what job's that going to get you? I said, don't care. I just want to read books and study. And so I've got a Master's of Philosophy in Literature. It's in the history of bookselling in Australia, because at the time I was working as manager of an Angus and Robertson store, and it's not fiction, but it is a 15,000 word manuscript that's bound on my shelf with my name on the spine in gold. So I'm very proud of it. Nobody's read it except the person that marked it, and maybe someone else in the research higher degrees office, but that's all. It's my baby, and it's sitting on my shelf. So I'm hoping to do a PhD one day, just so I can read more books and study. But yeah, so I've worked in bookshops, and Marion has asked me years ago, because she's the wife of one of my husband's friends. She asked me years ago to join, and I was the manager of the bookshop that they had one of the Fantastical Tales launch at? And I'm like, yeah, I'll join. And 10 years later, I finally got around to doing it. And since I've joined, I've also done a couple of short stories for Gold Coast Writers Association's short story competition and the SBS Emerging Writers competition. And it's just about doing more writing. So that's what being part of the 10 Penners has done for me, just to get me into the habit of writing. So, and it's been a lot of fun as well.
Yeah.
The meetings are amazingly fun.
That's very important. Very important. Writing has to be fun. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, Jennifer.
Oh, yes, me. I, as you know, I'm the illustrator in the group. And what I had written anything beforehand was really just stories for my own boys. I've got 3 sons, and I used to write stories for them just to read before they went to bed, so bedtime stories. And they were very much, being boys, very much into adventure and mystical and magical and all that sort of thing. But I never really did anything with it because my art was important. The type of job I had while the boys were growing up was I'm an architectural draftsperson. That was my career. And so everything was very finely drawn. And that's where I developed more into my fine art as well, because of the type of renderings and things that we had to do for the architects. And from there, I just went on. I just do my art. It was just all about art. I had no intention of writing. I ended up, meeting Jill at a party, at a Christmas party, and at a friend's party. We sort of hit it off. She told me she wrote books. I told her I illustrated, and she thought I'd be great, a good fit with their group. So she invited me in. And I'm really excited to have done that. So now, with their help and with what I've learned from all of them, I've been able to put the stories together. And happy to say I now have 3 stories in our new anthology. So hopefully I will be able to do some more, and will continue to write with this lovely group as well. I love doing the illustrations. I'm happy to be doing them as well, but very happy that I am starting to write. It's a very different area to move into for me, but I am really enjoying it, and the group have been marvelous. They've taught me a lot. So yes, that's me.
Oh, well done. Well done. That's
Thank
good.
you.
Yes. Now, as I mentioned earlier, your first anthology, Shock Horror Gasp, was a great success. And I read that at the Gold Coast Writers' meeting following the launch of the book, all the authors involved dressed up as witches and ghouls, and that they danced around to the tune of the Monster Mash, making the room rock and roll with laughter. The success was that the limited edition print was soon sold out. You say on your site that sadly many of those original authors are no longer with the group. However, that didn't stop the 10 Penners from going on. Would you like to tell us what happened after the book's success and how you managed to encourage others to join your special group? I think this is going to be Marion, isn't it, who's going to explain?
Most of the time we tried encouraging people from the Gold Coast Writers Association, because it is a subgroup of the association. But basically anybody that we met through just living life and knowing that they love books, such as Carly and Kate. I met Kate through primary school, my daughter's primary school. One of her friends in her class, his mum, it was Kate's sister-in-law, and she said, "You should meet my sister-in-law, Kate. She likes to do writing." And it turned out that we both sort of joined the Gold Coast Writers around about the same time. We were actually at that first meeting at the same time. She joined up on the day, and I took a couple of weeks to join up. So her number's more impressive than mine. But just getting out there and finding all these people that just love books, love to write, have a bit of a quirky personality, so they can do beautiful stories for kids and make kids laugh and go on fantasies, little mysteries, little adventures. I think over the years we've had some people come and go, and they had things to do in their life, or it was just not the right fit for them. So what we've got now is a lovely group of ladies who are doing really well. So yes, it's
That's
nice.
brilliant. Brilliant. Super. As a writer's mentor, I've run a couple of competitions for writing short stories, and I find that the contrast in the stories, even with a theme, can be quite varied and different. So can I ask, before writing, how do you agree on the theme for your stories? And also, what age group are you generally aiming at? Jill, yes.
Well, we do go through a process of a general discussion. In this case, Marion chose the theme backyard because of that ad where the kids, what was it, Marion? They saw something and became in the
Tip Top.
Yeah. So
Tip
yeah,
Top bread commercial. They were all going through doing safaris in the jungle, but it was their backyard, and the lion was the actual dog. And then after a while, Mum turns up and yells out that it's lunchtime, and the kids slowly go back to reality and then grab their sandwich for lunch. But that was just, what the inspiration was with the ads that were on at the time.
And the age group? Is it
8 to 12?
8 to 12.
It's usually 8 to 12 that we go for, yes.
Yeah.
But
I was hoping to get a younger age group, but some of the girls didn't really want to go to that younger age group. It was a bit of an obstacle. So instead of getting the extra challenge, we stuck with what we like, which I think is good anyway. It's nice to have that good fit.
Yeah, I think these days we have some children who are advancing the reading and some who aren't. So it's difficult to draw that line when you're writing chapter books. I think you will have to stick at a certain a slightly higher age limit starting. You can't. Some kids will read chapter books at a younger age, but they're very rare. So you have to stick at that slightly higher line. So I agree there.
Yeah.
Apart from Shock Horror Gasp, over a period of time, you have written three further anthologies. My tongue's not working today. These are titled Fantastical Tales, Mystery, Mayhem and Magic, and your newest book, The Backyard Beasts and Curious Capers. Do they all have illustrations? And if so, how did you agree on what these illustrations would be? So, Jill, Marion, come on. Which one of you?
We did our illustrations.
They all have illustrations.
So you did your own illustrations?
They weren't as
Some did their own.
Hang on, one at a time. Which one?
Sorry.
Go on, Jill. Your illustrations.
Well, I just did some little ones on the iPad and worked them out. They weren't professional by any means, but they did look okay. But not compared to what Jennifer's done with this one. But we all did our own little bit, and they all worked out. Yeah. Mary, the earlier book, because I didn't do that one.
Right. Okay.
Well,
right.
I know we had the illustrations when I came in. Oh, sorry. I'll just say one thing and then I'll shut up. But when I came in and you guys were talking about illustrations and I thought we were all going to do our own, and I nearly died because I don't draw. And so I'm like, oh, how am I going to draw a cat? So I was working on the cat for 2 months, and then someone said, oh, give that to Jen and she'll just zhuzh it a bit. And I was like, okay. So next thing, I had a really cute cat, thanks to Jen. So thanks, Jen, because it was just my idea that I projected into the universe, and Jennifer got it onto paper.
Yeah. If they'd have told you that in the first place, you wouldn't have stressed.
I didn't even know illustrations were going to be a thing. I wrote the story. That's what Marion said. Here, write a nice story about something in the backyard. And I did that, no problem. Next thing we're sitting down. Okay, what's your illustration, Carly? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? It's about a cat. Okay, draw a cat. No, I can't draw a cat.
I tell you, when I did my first lot of books, because I've got 18 and they're in sets of 6, the first illustrator I worked with, I actually took pictures. I shouldn't say this, but I copied pictures off Google and everything. And I put together my scene of what I wanted. And then I gave it to her and I said, right, that's what I want, but do it in your style. So she couldn't copy it because it couldn't be exactly the same, but she could take her image of what I'd done. When I did the next 6, I got a new illustrator and she was fantastic. So this is giving them the story to read as well, but also, and I said, right, this is what I want. And I wrote this paragraph of everything I wanted in the scene, in each scene. By the time I got to the last 6, I just gave her the story and wrote one sentence. This is what I want. And up she came with it. And I've had some brilliant scenes in all of my books, because mine are scenes, not just small images. They're complete scenes, picture book, you've got a full page. But that's an experience to actually describe what you want. If you can describe what you want, then you will get what you want. If the illustrator is good, you will get what you want. So if you've got a good illustrator, which you obviously have, then as long as you describe it right, you'll get it. I know I did.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. I was going to say all our books had illustrations, but this latest one is the only one where we've had consistent, really professional looking illustrations, thanks to Jen. And it's made a huge difference to how the book looks. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of our other books, but having that consistent sort of style throughout, and it just makes it look so much more professional and really polished, and and of course the style's the same, so it's all it just came together beautifully. And poor Jen was burning the midnight oil getting all these illustrations done, but then she'd think of more illustrations to do, and so she's making more work for herself. But it's turned out so brilliantly, and but it just makes such a difference to have that consistent style throughout. Because we decided with this one too that it was going to be more heavily, like it's bigger print, it's sort of more spread out, sort of to make it easier to read for and with and more heavily illustrated. Like every story had a big illustration and one at the end, and a couple had a few extra illustrations as well. So it was much more sort of planned to be more visual than some of our other stuff. So it's turned out really
well. Yes.
Yeah, so, the only thing I could say that when we did the book with Lorraine Blomberg was an artist before Jen came on, and she did the covers of a couple of our books. And then in the Mayhem and Magic, Starla Martineer did the other one. But my Trini stories were based on pictures that Lorraine Blomberg had done, but she's now passed. So we dedicated that book to her. So that
lovely. So let's discuss the latest book you've just launched. Have we got a copy of it there that you can flash the cover? Come on, quick. Somebody must have a copy.
Yeah. Jill, look, here she comes.
Throw it up. There we go. And it's called Backyard Beasts and Curious Capers. I love the cover, I must admit. So I should be able to guess the theme, but tell me, who is going to tell our viewers and listeners what it is all about? So, Marion, are you going to start?
Jill. Oh, okay. Oh, well. Since I started the ball rolling with it, and then Jill took over because I stepped down as coordinator. So how it all started, a lot of the stories, or some of the stories, actually came out from our meetings. We have a 15-minute or 10-minute forced creative writing. And some people had a little, you get some your juices happening, and you get a little basic story happening in that 10 minutes, and then you can elaborate on it when you get home if you to. Doesn't matter, it might just be something totally different when you get home. I often found that it was really great because what happened in the meetings just inspired something a little bit different when you get home. So there was stories in the background, but because we did have that backyard theme that we chose, we just sort of got an idea of what we wanted for a backyard story. So that inspired me. So yeah, it sort of started the ball rolling, and then once the ball starts rolling, everything else keeps happening.
I jump? Sorry. It's really good too, because there are 20 stories in the book, and each story is quite different to the other from the individual authors. Jill's story, there's 2 of hers that are linked about a witch, but with all the others, they're quite different, and they keep, I think, the child who reads it, even the adult for that matter, it keeps them interested, because like you'd finish one story and move on to something else, and there's always something different happening within it. And just to create a little bit of interest, what we decided to do too was put an activity at the back of the book for the children. So we've got a fun stuff page with questions where they can answer the questions by going back and finding the answers in the book. And what I usually do as an illustrator, I like to put my initials on the illustrations as well, and then I ask the children to find them. But in this one, I changed it a little, and I've put a riddle at the back, and they have to find the one that doesn't have my initial on it. So just to mix it up a little bit. But yeah, but all the stories, like you said, they're all different, and they all have a different theme to each one, but the base of them is all in the backyard. So they're great. I think they're really good. We've all done a good job.
I'm going to have to read this book when I come down. You have to save a copy for me. Signed, all of you. Now, I must say,
one of my stories.
Sorry?
Sorry.
Go on.
I'm just going to add, one of my stories actually came about when I moved up to Bundaberg Way, and that was my little frogs, because I had so many frogs that were popping out from the balustrade rail, and they were popping out every night and flipping around the back veranda, and I thought, oh, well, there's a story in the making there. Inspiration comes from everywhere.
I saw the video of that.
Lovely.
On your website of all the little frogs. Yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I did.
With Jason trekking through.
I'm a Jason.
Now, I must say I have watched with some amusement your progress through the Facebook images and posts of your promotional activities for launch of the book. So tell me, is there any advice you could give to new writers when it comes to promoting a new book? And I think this is down to Jill, because I think she's the one who's been pushing it.
It's my baby.
It's your baby.
So because it's such a good book, and I really wanted to get it out there, especially as it was the lead up to Christmas. Instead of having, well, the only thing I can say is just persist, but be prepared to work at it, because obviously you're going to have to. We usually just have one book launch, and I've sort of made it a lot. I don't know whether the others think it was a good idea, but we've been selling some at each meeting. So we've done quite a few. We went to the books, etc., where Carly works was the first one. We sold 8 books at that one, and that was just passing trade. And then
It
it's
was
the big,
fabulous.
sorry, yeah, it was good, really. And then we dressed up
It's
there.
fabulous.
And the Big B books in Burleigh was just Kate and I, and we sold a couple of books there. And then we had the Gold Coast Writers meeting, and that was Jen and I, and we did a couple there, sold a couple there. And that also, the other thing is you do a bit of promotion by giving books away. So we have a promotional stack of books, which Marion reminded me that has to be, because I didn't really think of that, but there we go. So we have a promotional stack of books, and if there's a raffle and you want to give a raffle prize away as a book, you've got that copy to give out. And there's also been other people like the ladies who wrote the blurbs on the back of the book, having read it. I've sent them both a copy of the book, so they've got them on hand. And yeah, so we've got another promotion on the 9th of December, and that's going to be Kate and Carly at Budgeraba. And then the last one will be at the Upper Coomera Library on the 16th of December. So that one's a local. We're sort of trying to cover the local area, but also get around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I contacted the schools, but of course it's too late in the year for them to be too bothered about doing too much. Yeah. But I have asked, put it in the newsletter, so I'm sort of hoping that some of the schools did, but I don't really know for sure. But anyway, it's good to get it out there as much as we can, and then next year we'll probably work on visiting schools and libraries again to promote it.
Yeah. So yes. It is difficult at this time of year. You've got to pre-plan all when it's coming up to Christmas, but you've put in a lot of effort, and this is what people have to realise, that it doesn't happen overnight, and a lot of effort is involved. Even I get people who say, "Oh, well, I'll go with the traditional publisher because they'll sort out all this promotion and marketing and everything." Hang on a minute. They don't. You still have to go out there and work hard, even with a traditional publisher. They might get you a link, they might get you through the door, but you still have to work hard. So yes, I think you've done very well, and I've found it amusing because of your dressing up and everything. So it's been good. So
I must say, I was going to say I enjoyed wearing my pixie ears a bit too much. I think I'm a smart pixie.
Oh dear. She's got all the she's off to get all the props is Kate.
Actually, I had
Jill.
Yeah, I had for Halloween.
Got some pictures.
Oh, there we go. For Halloween at work, they actually requested I wore my pixie ears into work on Halloween, and I did. And very briefly, I had to walk around the office with the pixie ears on.
Oh,
anyway.
No, that was.
Look at us. Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh dear. Right. So I do find that writers often feel that working in a writing group can be very supportive. And can I ask each of you to perhaps sum up what being a member of the 10 Penners means to you as an author? So we'll start with Kate. What do you think?
Well, honestly, it's been the worst. No.
Yeah.
No. It's actually being a member of the 10 Penners has been a great joy in my life. Like, honestly, we have so much fun. These girls, they're best friends in the world. We all get along really well. We have a lot of laughs, and I'm sure we all feel really supportive and encourage each other in whatever individual projects we're doing as well. And it's just been brilliant. It's really saved my sanity at times, because I'm still working in a fairly stressful job, and just having that outlet and knowing that I get to meet these girls and we have a chat and we have a laugh and, you know, work on something creative. It means a lot. And it's, as I said, it's a great joy in my life. And I'm very grateful to Marion for roping me in and bringing me along to the first meeting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go to that. Marion brought me in, and I hadn't written any short stories for children, and it was a real learning curve. And I really enjoyed every minute of the learning experience. I'm still learning. I don't think you ever stop learning with writing. But the 10 an integral part of that for me, and I just love every minute. Thank you, Marion. But I've loved
You're getting blamed for everything here, Marion. Go on, Marion. Give me your clue. Give me your
Oh, I think the girls have summed that up really well. It's I love my meetings every month, and just getting together, getting that creative out, learning, you know, a little bit about their lives, and all the support that you get from just, you know, where's my story going, or what is it doing? We're not super critiquing, but we're pointing things in the right direction. So I think that's the main thing. And just to get those creative juices going all the time. Sometimes being a writer is a solitary thing, you get very stagnant. And then when you get that release once a month, so you can go and just blurt out what's happening, or, you know, even if it's just saying things that's happening in your life, it's just releasing things and other things flow in, and it's great. So that's what I love about it.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Jennifer?
Well, to me, it's a family. You get to a stage where, like they said, because we used to meet at the libraries for these meetings originally when I first signed up, or joined, I should say. And because of COVID, everything sort of got put on hold. When we reinstated it, we decided it was a bit more difficult to get into the library rooms and that to hire them out. So Jill and I decided we would just alternate between our houses. So now once a month we alternate. 1 month we're at Jill's, the next month we're at mine for the meetings. And I think it's brought us all together that little bit more closer because we can be ourselves. We don't have that meeting room feeling around us. We're in a home and we can be a little crazy, and we are. Trust me, we are. So we have a lot of fun. We have nibblies on the table and my dog running around being annoying. And we have all sorts of things that it does. And like she said, like Marion said, we talk about not just the books, but family. But sometimes it's talking about that can give you an idea of what to write as well. So, because if you think about your life, we write every single day of our lives because we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Yeah. I am, don't know about everyone else, but I am. So we actually are writing every single day, nearly every minute of the day. So what we write about our lives and what's happening in our lives is a short story. So when you get together and you have to think about what to write, really, you don't have to look too far past what you're doing. And I think for me, that has been the biggest light bulb moment sort of thing to write, because it's made it a lot easier for me to sit and think. And yeah, something, even now I can go past a shop or anything. If I see something that triggers a thought, I think, God, that'd make a great story. And trouble is, by the time I get home, I've forgotten. But it really does help. It's just being together and doing all that. And I also love the fact that they have these, what do you call those cards again, Jill? The ones.
Storymatic.
Storymatic. We've got this box of Storymatic cards that Jill and Marion used to when she was coordinator. They used to bring them out and they're like cue cards. And you'll have about 3 cue cards, and you've got that 10 minutes, like Marion said, to sit and write a story just using those cue cards. And they're amazing. I love them. I think it's so good. So, yeah, so this whole group, to me, it's a family. It's not just a group of writers. So very happy to be involved with them all. I love you all. So, yeah.
And Karen, go on then.
Oh, well, for me, it's hard to write when life gets in the way. And what the meeting does is for 2 hours every month, I get to prioritize it, and I get to say to the kids, and I get to say to my husband, I'm going to my meeting. I'm going to write. Bye. Like, Marion picked me up once, and the kids were still, Mummy, in the driveway. And I'm like, close the door. I'm like, bye. Just get me out of here. Just let's go to the meeting. So for me, it's the space to write that you don't get. You say you're going to give to yourself, but by having a designated meeting and people who focus you and who you feel they're your people, it makes it easier, and you feel like you belong, and you feel like, I found my people. And I write more because of it, because you're in a supportive group.
Yeah. That's true.
And I do turn up for the coffee. Yeah, it's the coffee and cake, really. The writing's just a
Of course.
But, girls, I'm going to have to go because my phone's on 4% and it's overheated and I can't charge it. It won't let me charge it. So I just wanted to say that the 10 penners is brilliant. Yeah.
So we're going to lose you. Okay.
You're going to lose me in about 3%. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So if we lose you, thank you.
No, that's all good.
Bye.
I'll just hang in until my phone dies. It's
okay.
all good.
Lovely. So well, I tell you what, I will ask you the question that because I can always add it in later.
Okay, cool.
Right. One of the questions that I always like to ask all my interviewees is, let me find the question. So the question is, I want to go back to when you were a little girl and tell me what it is you want it to be when you grew up. So I'm going to ask you that one now.
I wanted to be an accountant.
I love you. I love you.
I like numbers, and I thought I'd make money.
I started my working career in an accountant's office. I'm going to add that in. I'm going to cut this and I'm going to put it in. Right. So, I'll carry on with the questions now.
Oh, she's gone.
I've lost her.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. So one of the questions I always like to ask my writer interviewees is, if you were starting writing now, what piece of advice would you have liked someone to have given you before starting out? Now, it could be the simplest of suggestions, but one which you think would have helped you and which might help new writers.
Believe yourself.
So, Marion.
Okay. I think probably don't expect too much. Like, you can't be J.K. Rowling straight away. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
I think I knew that anyway. Only, half a dozen or a dozen maybe make the top. But hey, we'll all try. It's a good goal.
Just be persistent. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yes, absolutely.
Jill, what do you think would be a piece of advice you would give someone?
I think if you feel a bit downhearted at all, keep going. Realise you can just keep persisting. You'll get somewhere. Keep writing. Keep reading. Read a lot. I love reading, so it's not hard for me to do that. But it does help. What you can do. When I was young, I did find something's fallen down. I did find that told me about her her grandfather's writing, and he used to write poetry. And she showed me some one day, and that was really an inspiration. I thought, wow, somebody 3 generations ago or 2 generations ago was writing, and they found it really a joy. But probably didn't do anything with it other than find it a creative outlet, but it was wonderful. Yeah. So, yeah, so it was in my mind.
And Jennifer, what do you think?
Read Wuthering Heights. Because when I was young, I did not like reading at all. I hated English. I hated literature. I was into my art. There was nothing, I didn't want anything to do with English until the English teacher made us all read Wuthering Heights. And I absolutely fell in love with books. And I don't read as much as Jill does, but I did used to read a lot. And from Wuthering Heights, I went on to the Bronte sisters and read their books. And that's what opened it sort of up for me, even though I didn't do anything with it. It just gave me that love of the books and of reading. So most importantly, read, and definitely read Wuthering Heights. It is just a fabulously written book. And I also like Ernest Hemingway, being the character he is. I love his writings as well. So there's all those sort of old writers. They just touched on something that I think today's writing is a bit different. And I do love the poetry. I've always loved poetry. And then I started writing my own as well. But yeah, so the thing is, like I said before, the advice I would give someone is that you're so busy writing on Facebook every day to people, friends, whatever. Put it down on paper, put something down on paper and turn it into a story, because you've got life happening all around you. So just write, basically. That's it.
I'll let you into a secret.
Yeah.
I come from Bronte country, close to.
Oh, wow.
I have been to Bronte House.
Oh, have you?
And I have walked Haworth, which is where they lived. Many times.
Would love to go there. Would love to see it.
Make you jealous now.
You are.
Go on, Kate. Any advice from you? Because you do a lot of writing with Nano. I know you do a lot of writing with Nano.
Yeah. And well, I think obviously reading, I think, is really important if you want to write, because I've seen news articles and stuff, and people, or just Facebook stuff. Oh, I'd write about the time, or I'd write, oh, do you read? Oh, no. And like, how do you know how to, like, if you don't read, I don't know how you can write, because how do you know it's good? And like, I just don't. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a big one, I think, reading. But also I think the thing, I don't know if I said that before, but the thing that NaNoWriMo taught me was that you just have to write it down and worry about polishing it later. Yeah. Because if you just keep getting bogged down in trying to get every single bit perfect the first time, you can write the same paragraph 55 times and you never get a novel. No. So before I did NaNoWriMo for that first successful time in 2012, I had a couple of books, which one of them was A Crime Scene Clean and one of them was Kylie Cooper, and I got so far and no further, and then when I did that NaNoWriMo and actually wrote a story from start to finish, even though it wasn't, I still added to it, of course, afterwards, but knowing that I could write a story from start to finish and then go back and make it the best it could be was a real learning curve for me, because it taught me that I could do it, that I could actually finish something, which is, I think, whether it's a short story or an essay or what, I think finishing something is such a huge thing, because so many people say they're going to write something and then, when I've got time or whatever. But it's hard work and you've got to want to do it. But finishing something is such a buzz. Like, you just think, wow, I actually did that. And also putting it aside for a while before you read it and try and edit it, because I found that with it's quite a weird thing. I don't know what your brain does, but you write something and then you go back a couple of months later and you think, I don't remember writing that. Okay, that's good. But it's really weird because it's like you're reading something someone else has written. If you give it, if you go back and try and go back and do it straight away, I think you miss stuff, or I don't think you do as good a job. I think that you have to have that, put it aside, do something else, come back to that story, and then you can really make it the best you can be, because it feels like you're reading something written by someone else and you can be a bit more objective about it.
That is one of the best pieces of advice. Yeah, get it down on paper first. Worry about the edit later. Get it down. It is the most important thing. Some good pieces of advice there. Brilliant. Now, before I finish, as I said, the interview I like is the question being a bit more personal. So I'm going to ask each of you this. I want you to go back to when you were a little girl and tell me what it is you wanted to be when you grew up. So come on, Jill, what did you want to be?
I wanted to be a hairdresser, but I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, always interested in, so that came along. So that was good. I just had, as I said, always wanted to do the writing, and I always loved, well, actually, I didn't love reading when I was little. I didn't like people telling me I had to read things at school, so I wouldn't. But once I didn't have that restriction, I just went out and read. So that was good. It was just, my family all read a lot, so it was around. That was it. I didn't do that, and I'm glad I didn't.
Jennifer?
I always wanted to be an architect because my father wanted to be one. And he sort of always spoke to me about it. That's why I went and got my architectural degree. I got architectural drafting technician, and I did that for about 30 years, working in the building industry. And so I always wanted to actually be like an architect and design. I love buildings. I like the character in the old buildings and all of that. So because the architectural the course itself actually had art included in that, because you have to learn how to do perspectives and renderings to present to your clients. So obviously the art side of it was in there, which is what got me hooked even more. And I learned how to do that. And I became a fine art artist after that because of the detail that we learned in the architectural course. Everything had to be to the millimeter and spot on, and you couldn't be any way off track. And it made it a little bit difficult for me moving into my art, my actual sort of illustration art, because I am too detailed. I take too long and I put too much information in. So it's taken me all these years to loosen it up and learn how to just do like a quick drawing and sort of get it done. Not that it's really all that quick. I still take a bit of time because I am a perfectionist and I do like to do things right. And if they're not, I start again. So it's just the way I am. As Jill's nodding, everyone's nodding, they know. So it's just the way I am, and I can't help it. It's the way I've been bred. So, but that was, originally I wanted to be an actual architect originally. So because I just love the buildings and everything so much. But
you're the second lady I've interviewed who did that, who became an architect. Went through it because of the father. Yeah. Kate, come on, Kate. Tell me what you want it to be.
Well, I had absolutely no ambitions at all when I was growing up, and I have always loved reading. So I probably always secretly did want to write, but just didn't think I could. But it wasn't when I finished high school, and my parents said to me, well, you've either got to go and learn something, get a job, or just get a job or something. You can't just sit around the house reading. So I went to Secretarial College and learned to type. And that was like my way in, because once I learned to type, my friend Issa and we used to write these stories. I've still got them somewhere. These romantic stories where we're the heroines and we're always the heroines of our own stories. And all my heroes, this is embarrassing, all my heroes used to look like Tom Selleck from Magnum P.I. I had such a big crush I don't know what it was. I know it was low or the hairy chest or the wide chest. I don't know. But I had a massive crush on Tom Selleck. And all my heroes were like, they looked like Tom Selleck. And like it was, and we'd read these stories back and we'd just gag ourselves because they were so bad. But they were so much fun and just typing away on the thing. And I think it just awakened something in me then. And that was many years ago. That was in the 80s. So early 80s. So it was, yeah, I think, yeah, I'm still not ambitious actually, but I really loved that. I mean, reading was always a great passion, and then as I said, because when I learned to type, I realized I didn't have to try and read my scrawly handwriting, which probably helped. So, but anyways, there you go. That's my guilty secret. I used to be in love with Tom Selleck.
I like Tom Selleck as well. I loved it. I love that. That's lovely. I'm like you. I didn't have an ambition at all.
Yeah.
No.
He used to wear some white shorts.
I like writing as well. So there you go. Come on, Marion, finish us off. What did you want to be?
I had lots of things that I used to like. When I was really, really little, I wanted to be a nurse. I actually had a little nurse outfit, and I'd dress up and take care of everybody's cuts and bruises and what have you. I had a little stethoscope and a little like kidney tray that I used to put stuff in and wipe over people's legs or whatever. Going into my teenage years, I didn't really like going into hospitals or anything like that. And I actually remember getting a bit faint when I went in to visit my auntie one time. I think it was all the smells of the disinfectants and what have you. But I had to get out of the place because I was really going grey. But I actually thought I'd like to be a writer just before I left school. We went on a school excursion one time to Sydney Morning Herald. I lived in Sydney back then, as you can tell. And I thought, wow, this would be a great place to work. And I remember somebody saying, oh, you have to be an A grade student to be able to get there. Well, I was always good at English, but that sort of threw it in the bin for me because I thought I'm not an A grade student. So, yeah, I put things on hold. Life got in. I went into the bank and started doing some writing when my daughter was born. And I had some encouragement from my husband. So that was really lovely.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And finally, can I ask, what does the future hold for the Tenpenners, a group that has been in existence? Now, I put 16 years, but I think it's longer than 16 years, I'm sure. So, Jill, what does the future hold for the Tenpenners?
Well, I think we'll keep morphing into, different group strategies like different people, and we'll just keep writing. We meet and we love it, and we're going to continue doing that. And we will be promoting this book and doing more and just getting out there and writing. But I hope for the next 12 months we'll just concentrate on presenting our book and also just adapting our skills and learning a bit more as well. Because sometimes I think you just need to get back to basics before you can carry on again.
That's true. That's good advice. Ladies of the Tenpenners, I want to thank you. I have to say how much I've enjoyed talking with all of you, catching up, because obviously I haven't seen you for a long time. And I hope the viewers and listeners have discovered something about your group, have learnt more about your writing, and of course, discovered details of your delightful storybooks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you all for joining us today. Details of the Tenpenners books can be found on their website, which is, Jill?
Okay, so it's a good question, and it's a Wix web. Sorry, I've got to get it up. But we also sell it on Amazon.
Yes, I've got that. So yeah. Well, so what I'll do is it's on their websites. It's Amazon as well, in all good bookshops. What I'll do is I'll have the full details will be displayed in the summary of this recording. So when I put a piece of summary up, I'll put it up. I'll put the links up there as well. In the meantime, if you need help with any aspect of your writing journey, then check out our website, mentoringwriters.co.uk, and we will endeavour to assist you. Once again, I want to thank the lovely and delightful ladies of the Australian group, the Tenpenners, for being in conversation with me and Brady at Mentoring Writers. And also I want to say that I am looking forward to joining them in one of their monthly meetings the next time I am down under. Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Thank you for having us,
Thank you,
Anne.
Anne.
Thank you. Thank you very much.